Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Double Take. I'm Rick,
I'm Lori.
and we are brought to you by Oneness Ministries and the Stream Grace Network.
Find out more about us at oneness-ministries.org
Yes.
and sign up for our newsletter. Good timing, huh?
Yep.
Follow us on social media. We're all over the place. If you'd like a free study guide for any of these podcasts, shoot me an email at lfry@oneness-ministries.org, and we'll put you on the mailing list, and you'll get the information for each podcast every Wednesday when the podcast drops.
Yep. Also, if you like us on YouTube,
And how could you not?
and how could you not? And also, if you go to our website, you can support us there.
That'd be good. That'd
Really
be good.
Yep.
So we're just, you can't get rid of us. That's all it is to it. And we love hearing from you. And I'm going to have a shout out to Sandra one more time in Ireland.
Ooh, Sandra.
Because she's my favorite Ireland person. And
Irish person.
Well, she's from Ireland.
Okay.
Anyway, we love hearing from you. So you're the best. You encourage us all the time. So, hey, Sandra. That's all.
Yep.
Okay. So our series is The Gift of Oneness, which has to do with oneness in marriage.
Yep.
And last week we helped you figure out women.
Oh, man, I'm a much better husband after that podcast.
He's been fantastic. Anyway, so now we're going to talk about men.
We're going to talk about men.
So women, listen up.
Now, a lot of this is addressed to both men and women. It's hard to separate that out because of the way we're connected, the way we need to be connected. And so as you hear this, you're going to hear things that is true for both of us. And we'll just start by the more we understand the way a man thinks and processes information, the better women can support and love them in a way that we need to be loved. But the reverse is true. The more we understand the importance of how women think and process, the more we can hear them and love them the way they need to be loved as well.
We just receive it differently.
Yep. Think about these two negative experiences. What would it be like for a man to feel isolated and unloved, or feel inadequate or disrespected by his wife? If you were to force him to choose one, which is more important, to be loved or respected, which do you think he would choose? What selection do you think he would make? Most women consider these two completely different things.
Well, yeah, inadequate and disrespected and isolated and unloved, those do seem like two different things.
But if you ask a man, he will have a hard time responding to this question because they appear to be connected. Men don't feel these are different. So we can conclude that when a man feels disregarded or not respected, he will assume he's not loved. His greatest fear is that he's not earned his wife's respect and that he is a failure. I think most women would say we respect our husbands. However, sometimes you communicate the opposite by your behavior. When engaged in an argument, it seems appropriate for women to break down and cry. But if a man if a man too gets angry or gets too angry, he becomes abusive and controlling. And he's accused of not being able to maintain his self-control. Would you agree with that?
So you're saying that our normal reaction of crying is usually okay.
Yeah.
But a man's maybe a normal reaction is being angry, too angry. It's not okay.
It's not okay. And
depending on how we manifest that.
If in the moment, in my experience, in the moment, I have to make a choice. Do I get angry or do I listen? Sometimes I get angry. In a marriage dispute, women often cry when feeling unloved, and men get angry and feel disrespected.
You get angry because you feel disrespected.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
In the same way, you need to be loved without conditions, even when you're distracted and focused on kids, house, food, holding your emotions in check, and don't feel the least bit lovable. He still has expectations for you to exhibit respect for him. These expectations are not unreasonable and are biblical, but sometimes they require a choice for both of you to make in the moment. Ephesians 5:33. However, you want to read this?
Sure. However, let each man of you, without exception, love his wife as being in a sense his very own self, and let the wife see that she respects and reverences her husband, that she notices him, regards him, honors him, prefers him, venerates and esteems him, and that she defers to him, praises him, and loves and admires him exceedingly. Obviously, this is the Amplified Version.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
often-
because my question was, how do we show you respect? And that pretty much lays it out.
And I'm often confused by my wife's insecurity and fear because of the way she communicates while trapped in these emotions. But she must express what she is feeling. It's the only way she can work out of this trap. It's the only way she can process. And it does not sound respectful.
When we're processing,
Yeah.
we feel disrespectful.
Yeah. It does not sound respectful when you're processing, and often men feel attacked. Me, being the genius that I am, take a defensive posture. I assign motives. I accuse. I compare how my own fears and insecurities are bigger than hers. And I shut her down with my anger. I completely ignore the first part of Ephesians 5:33. She just wants me to love her and listen to her. The way a man gets the respect from his wife is to love her and hear her. Let me say that again. The way a man gets the respect from his wife is to love her and hear her. That's the first part of that verse.
Yeah.
Men, love your wives so that they will respect you. If you demand respect without loving her, you're not going to get it.
You can't demand respect.
You can't. Go ahead.
No, that's it. Demanding it. I mean, just the word demanding. You know, if you're a respectable guy, you're going to get respect.
That's right.
If you're not going to get it, even if you demand it.
Yep.
It's not going to happen.
Well, and you don't deserve it if you demand it.
Yeah. One of the things Pastor Steve Eden says is men lead out of supply, not demand.
Yes.
You don't demand it, you supply
Yep.
what your wife needs, which is love and honor, however you want to look at it. Anyway.
And honestly, there's no formula for this.
No.
I wish I could say, do these 3 things and you will love your wife.
I mean, checklists don't work.
Checklists don't work, especially in the arena of emotional breakdowns. You don't have time to do the checklist.
Yeah, let me grab my clipboard here.
Yeah. There is no formula. It's actually pretty cut and dried. Men, love your wives, which means you hear them, not just listen, hear them, and they will respect you.
Yep.
I think it's important to make this statement. A man's ego can be one of the most frail things on the earth.
We don't really believe that sometimes.
I know.
Yeah.
And the reason is because of his own insecurity, he creates this veneer of confidence, competence, and an attitude of I don't care what you think of me. And some women see this as he's got a big ego.
We're going to cut him down a few notches.
He needs to be cut down.
Yeah.
But usually he doesn't.
He's bluffing.
He's bluffing. He's putting on an act because his biggest fear, my biggest fear, is failure. The fear of failure. And you might think of this as pride, but it isn't his pride so much as it is his secret beliefs of inadequacy as a man.
And if we can keep that in mind it will change how we relate to our husbands. Instead of trying to cut him down to size, we can realize that fear of failure is in there
Yeah.
and deal with it
He
differently.
needs to learn humility. He needs to learn how to be humble. Well, he's afraid of that.
Yeah.
He's afraid. And men won't let this defensive posture down unless they can trust the people they're around. The only time he feels safe, the only time he feels it's safe to be vulnerable is when he's with the woman he loves. And that is so true. That is so true.
And you want to be that, don't you?
Yes.
I mean, wives, you want to be that person.
Yeah. You want to be a safe place for this guy, even though he acts like a jerk and says stupid things. It's all that part of that veneer.
Yeah.
And for her to betray this openness can cause a lot of harm.
Yeah. Yeah. When they do open up,
Yeah.
if we tear them apart, he's not going to want to open up again.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
It is vital for a man to be in a place where he can slip up and make mistakes and not worry about being revealed as a failure.
Yeah.
We do think about what others think, especially our wives, what our wives think about us.
I don't think we realize that very often. How much we can do damage without really meaning to sometimes, or sometimes we do, but it does way more damage than we think.
And sometimes it seems appropriate to tease and to kind of make fun of his mistakes. But the mistakes are damaging to us. I don't want to make a mistake. Oh my gosh, do I struggle with that? I don't want to make a mistake. And there's a whole other depth of meaning to me because of my upbringing when I made mistakes. So it's tough to live with spilling a cup of water on a cabinet. I get so mad at myself.
Yeah.
The next thing, for most men, providing for his family is so deeply ingrained that it's almost impossible for him to find relief from his powerful sense of responsibility. It's hard to turn it off. This burden, the burden of this responsibility is relentless. Men feel adequate and effective when providing for their family. And this deep need, I don't know how to say it other than I need to be dependable. I want you to be able to depend on me.
I think this is why sometimes it's difficult for women when the drive of a man to be successful in his work. We want you to be with us, but you feel like you're working so hard for us, and so we get mad because you're not home, you're working late, you're working extra hours, and you don't understand why we're upset because we're doing this for you. So what's your problem? And that goes back to the emotional security that we talked about last time.
Right.
There's still got to be a balance. We know it's for us, but we don't want to lose you in your drive to be the provider. Sometimes it's enough. Sometimes it has to be enough. You don't want it at the expense of your children or your marriage.
And honestly, this drive, this need to be dependable is exhausting. It's exhausting. And you come home and you're exhausted. But men are hardwired to be able to accomplish more than just that. Men are hardwired to turn this off and go to the next thing and help with and be helpful to his wife. Be there for her because she works equally hard and is equally exhausted.
But can you talk a bit about the boxes? Because we were talking last time about how men, they work hard, they come home, they just want to veg out. And so we get mad because you don't notice that I'm trying to juggle 15 things in here.
Well, I'm going to talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the boxes are a real thing.
Right. They are a real thing. Dr. Mark Gungor is the one who has that I've heard talk about this. Is that everything a man does, every thought a man has, fits in a box. There's a box for the car. There's a box for the house. There's a box for the insurance. There's a box for golf. There's a box for camping. All of these things have a box, and each box is put neatly in a place, and they cannot touch. They can't touch each other. And when you ask me a question about the car insurance, I have to go to that box, pull it out, open it up, and remind myself of what's in there. Because once I've shut it down, it's gone, and it's in that box.
Which is so hard for us to imagine.
And the one thing that I found fascinating about what Dr. Gungor talked about is that men have a nothing box. They have the capacity to sit in front of a TV, watch mindless sport, football, baseball, fishing, golf, and not think about anything. And it drives her crazy because I can shut it all out. Now, after doing that for a while, and I'm sitting in my chair late at night, I feel guilty because I've spent so much time in that nothing box and haven't gotten anything accomplished.
You should.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I beat myself up over that.
Well, and the other thing is, I think that explains one of the things, and maybe it's just me, but that drives us crazy, is that you can go in, for an example, just an example. I'm hungry. A man thinks, I'm hungry. I'm going to go in the kitchen and I'm going to fix something for lunch. And they're focused on fixing that thing for lunch.
I know where this is going.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And they don't realize the stuff they've left in their wake by fixing lunch. And they'll have, and it's like, you left out the mayonnaise. You left, there's junk all over the counter. You didn't wipe off the countertop. There's fingerprints on the microwave.
There's 3 seconds left on the microwave.
Yes, that too. And they're like, what?
What?
But it's because it's the box. They're in the box with make lunch, hungry.
Me hungry,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, we don't, it's like, how do you notice that you didn't leave the door, the cabinet doors open? You left all the cabinet doors open that you were just in.
And you left the light on in the pantry. Again.
So, and it's irritating. But if you understand their brains don't always work that way, maybe it's a little less irritating and you just go shut the light off.
I doubt that.
No, I doubt it too. I'm just trying, in a perfect world, we wouldn't be irritated.
I really, really try to pay attention to those things now.
I know.
When you started pointing it out to me, I really make an effort. I don't always accomplish it.
No, you don't.
I don't.
But you try and you get brownie points for that. Yeah. Anyway, it just kind of helps you understand why they do these things. Yep. They're interested in the one thing and nothing else.
Well, I may be.
They can't see it.
I'm moving from box to box. I may be doing something on my computer, and I say, okay, I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. I'm going to go fix my lunch, and I'm working on my lunch, but I'm also moving back and forth to what I was working on the computer. And that's 2 things going at once.
Ooh, look at you.
I know. And
Good job.
Well, you can burn circuit boards out doing that in my brain.
Oh, okay. I was going to say circuit boards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can burn out circuit boards in your brain by trying to
That's too many boxes.
Accomplish 2 things at once.
It's dangerous. And we look at that and go, that's just an excuse for you not doing this, taking care of that.
Who was the comedian, the writer? Barry.
Oh, Dave Barry.
Dave Barry wrote an article on snow tires.
It's an article, and look it up. It's called Men and Dirt, and it is so hilarious.
Yep.
And it talks about, women can see an amoeba on a toilet seat at 30 yards away, and men don't see the snow tires in the living room.
Yep.
They're like, what? What snow tires in the living room?
Says, well, the ones you put there last fall. Oh, those snow tires.
Yeah. It is hysterical, but it's true.
Yep.
Anyway.
So
yes.
We'll
send you a link to that article if you sign up for the study guide.
I'm sorry. Let me apologize. I'm sorry that I'm so single-minded that I make it inconvenient for you, and that's a sincere apology. It really is.
Is it?
I'm not being sarcastic.
Okay. Hard to tell.
As a man, I'm sorry that I really, really want to not make your life more difficult, but to help you.
But see, that's an important point. They're not trying to make your life more difficult. Unless you've got a marriage where there's other things going on.
Yes. Yes.
That's where you can give them the benefit of the doubt. They love you. They're not doing it to be passive aggressive. If you've got a good solid marriage and a man that loves you, they're not doing it on purpose.
No.
Even though it looks like that.
Yeah. And you want to know why? Because
Do I?
sex matters.
Okay.
That's the next topic.
Okay. Here we go.
Let me start it off with this. Many women have a lot of pressure put on them because they are taught that it's up to them to protect their husband from lusting and pornography by being sexually available when he needs it. I do not believe this is true, that looking at porn is an anger issue. And it's a whole nother podcast. But as men, we need to understand you, women, don't think about sex the way we do. Men can be ready for sex at the drop of an article of clothing. And we are not picky at all about which article of clothing that is. Many marriage counselors will tell you that not enough sex or lack of frequency is emotionally severe to a man. He feels unloved without it. Another quote from a marriage counselor, at times we don't realize the emotional consequences of our responses or lack of one and view his desire for sex more as a physical desire, even an insensitive demand. I don't agree with either one of those positions.
I think those, again, we're talking about a marriage that is not abusive, that is not in trouble, if you want to call it that.
Right.
Because then sometimes it can be.
But there are men who are selfish enough to
Yeah.
imply that it's your job to keep me from lusting.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. It's a choice I make.
Right. And that's, just a little bit of a rabbit trail, but not much, is in the evangelical church, you hear that a lot.
You hear it a lot.
You go to your pastor and say, my husband's got a problem with porn or he's this or that. And they go, well, are you giving him enough sex? That's not my job.
Nope. It
To
is
keep
not.
him. That's his job. Anyway.
It's a choice he makes.
Yeah.
Now, I want to say that pornography is more addictive than cocaine or any other drug that you take. But that's a choice to engage in it.
It's more available, too.
And it's way more available.
Easily available.
And so, but I don't want to get into that issue. If we understand the truth behind his advances, we are more likely to want to respond. The truth is we are loved, and sensitivity is the key word here because your response as a woman needs the time required for a shift of thoughts to be interested in sex. It really has nothing to do with our fragile ego. I don't think we understand that women are solving all the problems she faces in the moment all at the same time. You ladies have this amazing ability to think about 100 things at the same time. We men think about one thing at a time. And as she brought up, it's either eating, sex, or I can't think of anything else at this moment. Oh, wait, sports.
There you go. There you go.
Any response to that? You said it. You said it last week. You need time to shift.
Yeah.
It's not just something that's you think about every 40 seconds.
Like 40 seconds?
20 seconds.
There
whatever.
you go. Yeah. No, sometimes we need a little time.
Yep.
But it's not, I had a friend one time and she would get upset because to her husband, if he just grabbed her in different places as he walked by, that was enough to get her there, to get her in the mood.
Really?
And she hated it
Yeah.
because she knew that's what it was, and that's what he wanted. And she would ask him to not do that, and he kept doing it. And so it's
See, that's just selfish
well, yeah,
and inconsiderate.
right, and it's and it's different. And I'm not saying you should never do that. This was kind of clumsy, and like you said, it was a selfish thing with this particular person.
Yep.
But for us, it starts with other things. When we feel connected with you in different ways, that's what does it. And it's not a grope or a talking dirty or whatever it is.
One time, and I remember this clearly,
Oh, dear.
I was vacuuming. And when I finished, she said, "You have never been more attractive to me than you are right now," because I was vacuuming.
Actually, I got that from an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, okay.
But that's true. Yeah, do something for us. Do something. Sometimes I watch you when we counsel couples, and I listen to you, and I hear the things that you say, and I just think that was so good, and that was so helpful, and it makes me feel proud of you, and something like that can do that. Whenever we feel connected to you on a deeper level, that helps.
That helps.
Yeah. Anyway,
I love spontaneity.
that's true.
But good spontaneous moments are well planned. It has become clear to me that you don't need one more thing you have to plan and execute. With all the stuff you and every other woman on the planet have going on every day. But because of our fear of failure, we hesitate sometimes to plan things because I don't want to hear you say the word no. Hearing the word no embarrasses us. And I'm confident that there's nothing further from your mind than you wanting to humiliate me, or most wives don't want to humiliate their husband.
Yeah. And we don't know that that's what it does. We don't know that.
Well-
We're just like, this is not, it's not happening for me right now.
Right. Sorry, my cable fell.
Oh, I hate when your cable falls.
Most men want to be romantic, but it can be clumsy. And once again, he doesn't want to do it wrong. When he tries, I
Don't make fun of him.
advise you to encourage him. Give him advice, but don't make fun of his efforts.
Don't give him a list, though.
Don't give him a list. No list, please. For most of us men, it's about the escape. Escaping from the pressure of the fear of failure, whether at home, work, or life, but getting to be with the one person on the planet you love and trust with your deepest thoughts and the fat belly that he's developing. And we are delighted that you want to be alone with us. It's important for you to know that the man needs it as much as you do to feel safe.
Yeah, we don't hear that very often. No. We hear men's a warrior and we're tough and stand up and be a man and don't be scared.
Attack the gates of hell.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
No.
We have been trained that it's not manly to say it. I need to be safe. I need to feel safe. We've been trained that way.
Yeah, yeah. By the church as well as the culture in general.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Boys don't cry. Dry it up.
Oh, dear.
Yep. I heard that growing up.
I bet.
So, sex is a beautiful way for us to express our love for each other. Gives us the ability to connect on the deepest level possible and to feel safe.
That's good. Yep.
Great sex makes both of us feel loved and wanted. Great sex requires a lot of work, but it's worth it, and it brings great comfort to us. Us being both of us.
But I remember reading once that's why excuse me, that men might seem to want it at weird times.
Yeah.
Like after something really awful happened or whatever, because it's a comfort. And we're like, how can you be thinking about sex at a time like, does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It is a comfort. It's a distraction. It's an escape.
Okay, that makes sense.
Most men live in their heads. And that quiet reflection can cause us to feel lonely. That probably seems strange to you who are incredibly relational and need to talk through, to process.
Yeah.
We get inside our head. And sometimes being there is confusing and lonely, and I start beating myself up because I've done it wrong. We need to learn how to hear our wives, and our wives need to learn how to say, give me a few minutes to get there. And sex is pretty much, I say pretty much, I think sex is totally other-oriented.
Well, that's the design,
Yeah.
but it isn't always.
No, it isn't.
For lots of other reasons. That's a whole nother podcast too. Because if it isn't other oriented,
Well, I'm going to say it. It just becomes masturbation.
okay.
And that's the truth. It has to be other oriented. You have to focus on pleasing her.
Because then you just feel used.
Yep.
And then you don't want to do it.
Yep.
Anyway.
That's right. Okay, that's enough about that. Let's talk about lust.
Ooh. I can see where most of our time is being spent on this. Go ahead.
Lust is not unique to men. You can lust for power, chocolate, romance movies, and the opposite sex. And you may not agree with this, but looking at a pretty woman is not lusting after her. As a man, I appreciate beauty.
And as an artist,
Yeah.
since you're an artist.
I love a sunrise. I love spring flowers. I love a summer storm, which we just had. And I love a freshly oiled Dutch oven that's black and shiny. And to me, that's beautiful.
Oh, dear.
And yes, a beautiful woman. It doesn't mean I want to sleep with her. I love my wife, and she's the most beautiful of all. And I tell her, we as husbands must reassure our wives constantly. It's like air to her. She needs to know, she needs to hear that she is loved more than anyone else. Men, that is true for every wife.
You know, I think what you said is important. Sometimes we're watching TV and a woman will come on, maybe it's a newscaster or that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you can say, she's really attractive. She's really pretty.
Yeah.
And I don't go, what do you mean?
I'm not enough.
Yeah. I can say, you're right. She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I cannot feel threatened because I know how you see me.
Yeah.
And I believe that. So it's okay. It's not, we tend to, that's our own insecurities talking.
Yeah. It's not
When
a
we take it
sin.
the other way.
It's not a sin to appreciate beauty.
No. Anyway,
Is the way you look important?
you men or you women?
You both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to make a reference to women.
Okay.
Men are visual. We love looking at our wives' bodies. It becomes a problem when we let others define beauty. When we let social media, TV commercials, fashion magazines, and other marketing sources tell us how women should dress and comb their hair to be beautiful.
We fall into that trap.
Yep.
Yep.
Men believe this crap, and so do women.
Yeah.
Comparison is a death spiral. I get caught up in it because I'm not as smart as that guy. I don't look as good as that guy. Maybe if I comb my hair like him.
Maybe.
These marketing companies are trying to sell, are telling you that you should look like someone else. The message is that you're not enough. And you could be if you looked better.
Yeah.
I'm so vulnerable to that.
I'm not going to be 5'10" and blonde no matter how hard I try.
And I'm not going to weigh 165 pounds and be muscled up
And have dark hair.
and have dark hair. They are lying to us to get us to buy what they're selling.
Yeah.
That is the point of those lies, of those comparisons. Don't buy it.
Yeah.
Don't fall into it. I want my wife to be healthy. And, some bodies are large and some bodies are small. I did not fall in love with her because of her waist size. I fell in love with who she is, and she is a woman of character. That's the most attractive thing of all. She is beautiful, and I love to look at her, and I appreciate that she takes good care of herself. But I've known other beautiful women, and they are shallow and not nice people and not pleasant to be around.
Not all of them, but some.
Some?
Well, and especially if that becomes your identity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Men are visual, and as we get older, our bodies change, but oh my, I love to look at this lady God has given me.
Stop. You're embarrassing me now.
Every man wants his wife to know how much he loves her and wants her to respect him. That's the truth. It takes a lot of work. It takes making choices.
I think, sometimes I think, wouldn't it have been easier if God hadn't designed us to be so different?
Easier, yes. Boring.
Well, yeah, but how do we learn to love each other without laying ourselves down for each other? We wouldn't have to do that if we understood everything. We couldn't show each other grace if there wasn't some difficulty and understanding there. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think what you just said is what God has done for us. He laid himself down for us. And that's the template. That's the example. Yes, we have to lay ourselves down for our spouse, our husband and our wife.
Yeah.
We have to make that choice to give up what I want to meet her need. That's what God did.
Yeah.
He met us where we weren't. We couldn't do it. He had to do it for us, so he accomplished that. I can't be for you what God can be for you. But I can try to meet some of the needs that you have, physically and emotionally. And I want to.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yep.
Well, I should start the music here.
This was, I think, important.
Yeah.
This was an important.
Yeah.
I hope you learned something. I hope you got something from it. And go to our website and like us. Go to our YouTube page and like us.
Subscribe.
Subscribe, yes.
We're also on Rumble and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, on iHeartRadio, and all sorts of fun places. Share us with people if you like us, and interact with us on all those platforms too.
Yep. Thank
So,
you, guys.
Yeah, we'll continue with the series next week.
Yep.
Bye.